chegamos à nossa última parte do nosso conteúdo, uma parte que a gente estava esperando bastante da nossa parte aqui. A gente já tinha tido a chance de bater um super papo com a Amy, que ela teve com todos os funcionários da Discovery anteontem, e foi uma delícia. E a gente ficou super empolgado para esse momento. É muito legal para a gente ter a chance de trazer esses talentos da nossa casa, que ficam lá nos Estados Unidos para estar com a gente aqui no Discovery Talks. É um momento muito importante, de aprendizado para a gente também, e também um momento muito bacana de troca e de conhecimento. É por isso que a gente quis fazer, na verdade, um bate-papo, para que vocês tenham essa chance também de ser um momento íntimo, de troca, e que a gente possa também ter essa troca o tempo inteiro, de bate-papo, de pergunta, de resposta, etc. Mas, para conduzir esse bate-papo, eu vou chamar ao palco o André, nosso diretor de comunicação da Discovery, que vai conduzir esse papo de hoje com a gente.
Valeu. Obrigado, Adri. Boa tarde. Bom, acho que, como a Adri já falou, uma alegria muito grande para a gente, né, de ter esses talentos aqui e conviver. E eu acho que, para quem assistiu aí as apresentações, a gente tem hoje alguém que personifica, de alguma forma, muito do que a gente falou aqui, pela sua história. O Naná mencionou no começo, é o programa mais longevo que nós temos, né? E a gente está falando de alguém que teve a coragem de abrir a porta da sua casa para uma equipe de televisão ao longo de quase 15 anos, né? E quem acompanha viu essa família crescer, viu os filhos crescerem, viu o casal se separar, viu a chegada dos netos, e a gente vai conversar um pouco sobre todas essas histórias. Eu queria dizer que o Pequena Grande Família é um programa, ele está entre os 5 programas mais assistidos do canal, e nas exibições da última temporada, durante as exibições do programa, o Chelsea foi o segundo canal de estilo de vida de maior audiência, perdendo apenas para um tal de Discovery Home and Health, então estava em casa. Mas realmente é um programa amado pelo nosso público. A gente vai ver um videozinho aqui contando um pouco dessa história antes de entrar na nossa conversa. Vamos lá. Deixa eu sair da frente.
Eu sou Amy Roloff. O Matt e eu nos conhecemos numa conferência nacional de pessoas pequenas dos Estados Unidos, que foi no meu estado natal do Michigan. Acho que conheci o cara com quem eu queria me casar. Me mudei para a Bahia de São Francisco com o Matt, para casa dele, e compramos uma casa. Moramos lá por 1 ano e meio e eu fiquei grávida dos gêmeos. Há 26 anos, compramos uma fazenda para a família. Criar os filhos na fazenda foi muito especial. Independente do que esteja acontecendo com a família, a fazenda é o imã que continua mantendo todos juntos. Quando me falaram sobre fazer o programa, eu fiquei muito apreensiva para aceitar. Quem vai querer assistir a esse programa? Porque ele é sobre a minha vida. Mas também pensei, que outros programas são exibidos que descrevem uma família que é diferente? Naquela época, eu também trabalhava em alguns lugares e dava treinamentos. E adicionar essa filmagem ao meu mundo, junto dos horários das crianças, foi emocionante, mas assustador ao mesmo tempo. Mas as mães devem ser multitarefas. Nós começamos o programa com a missão de educar e defender, normalizando o nanismo, compartilhando histórias sobre nossa família. Isso aí, garota! As pessoas ficaram com a gente porque viram alguma coisa na nossa família que soou semelhante à delas. E com isso vem o sacrifício. Nós acabamos perdendo muita da nossa privacidade. As pessoas nos viram em momentos reais, nossos melhores dias e nossos piores dias. Foi isso que manteve nosso programa tão relevante. Acho que eu poderia ter feito melhor, que você poderia ter feito melhor. O Matt e eu tivemos problemas de comunicação. Isso fez com que a relação se desgastasse. Nós estamos nos divorciando. Então, com o Chris, eu não posso permitir que isso aconteça de novo. Eu não sei ao certo o que o futuro me reserva.
Vocês vão ser avós!
Veja a hora. Mas nós ainda somos uma família. A família continua crescendo, continua com sua missão de viver o melhor possível. Essa é Amber Jean. É um tipo de jornada diferente do que eu esperava, mas com certeza uma jornada nova. Nós só temos uma vida, então vou fazer o melhor para ser melhor. Bom trabalho. Independente do pacote em que nós viemos, todo mundo tem importância, todo mundo tem valor e todo mundo tem um objetivo. Como eu tenho sorte de estar aqui e este é o meu dia a dia.
Por favor. Amy Roloff. You have your ear set?
I don't think it works. I think the battery.
Okay, so I'll change this for you because you will need when they ask you in Portuguese, okay?
Okay.
Hello? Oh. Hello. Hola.
How many words in Portuguese so far?
2. Hola and obrigada.
Very nice. Amy,
So, obrigada for
yeah.
being here.
Well, we thank you for being here with us today for this conversation to talk about your life a little bit, and we can start maybe by you telling us a little bit about what is it like? What is it like to be so many characters in one? I mean, you are a mother, you are a grandmother now, you are a farmer, you are an entrepreneur. And you are a reality show celebrity. So, what is it like? I mean, you sometimes you look at yourself and think, oh, what am I doing? Who am I actually? Which one of these characters altogether?
Well, I think most women are good at multitasking. We can do multiple things all at the same time. I think when you are so many people within one, meaning a mother, a wife, I was a teacher, a farm owner, a coach. I taught my youngest son, believe it or not, in soccer or football. And, you know, this little woman teaching or coaching on a boys' team against all these other dads coaching their boys' team. Talk about an event that I'll be darned if I'm going to lose against those guys. But just being all of that, I think, are ways that really tell a side of an individual. I loved being a mom. And when I say loved, I'm still a mom. But I loved being a mom. I felt so blessed and wonderful to have 4 great kids. And then, you know, now I find myself at my age, an empty nester, divorced. I think it's much harder to know what am I doing and who am I, who do I want to be now, and still being able to tell that story on our show, you know, Little People, Big World, I think has been tremendous to show that time frame of a woman and the family and kids and all of that. But I don't know, you just do what you have to do. Obviously, in the show, I kept telling them, I want this clip. I see in my house before we remodeled it, I was so many people at that time. It's like, no wonder my house was so messy. And the kids' room, oh my goodness, was atrocious. But I told them, if you want to live like that, you can do it in your room. But in the main house, like the living room and the kitchen and all that stuff, you have to help mom clean that up. But anyway, You know, I think it's some women only are two roles. You know, whether they're a career woman and a wife, or maybe they're an at-home mom and a wife. And I often think we forget about ourselves as an individual, as a woman as well. And I know that's what I did here. So it's been kind of nice telling that part of the story on our show, how someone rediscovers themselves and continues going on living life as best I can after divorce, being a mom, now an empty nester, and life can still be good as well within changes.
This is supposed to be a conversation, so anyone, please feel free to raise your hand, ask a question, make a comment, anytime.
Well, what I tell people, I'm on a show, so don't be afraid to ask any questions.
You can say you live a public life, pretty much.
It is amazing how I have adjusted to that public life while still what I would call maintaining, you know, a self, a foundation. I'm faith-based, the Christian faith, living a public life while still not being so entrenched in it that you lose yourself.
Oh, let's go back to the beginning. We were talking yesterday about how it all started. I mean, how the producers came to you to start the show, what they proposed, and what was it like for you to, and what kind of conversation you had with your husband at the time? I mean, are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Because it's very brave to open your privacy, your house to a camera crew, almost every day and every time of the day. So, can you tell us this story, how it happened?
Well, I think about it now, and I wonder what in the world was I thinking. When we were approached to do a reality show, and I'm assuming it's all over, but in the States, reality shows weren't a thing. There might have been a few, but definitely reality shows weren't a thing. In fact, I think a lot of the movie stars and a lot of the other, you know, ways to make movies and stuff probably didn't like when reality shows first came, you know, onto the scene. We were approached, and I think because we've already been on some of our local television shows. I was in the New York Times because I traveled to New York with 4 young kids all by myself. So it was like Mama Duck and her 4 little ducklings were following me behind. And most women, I think, get intimidated traveling like that with young kids. So anyway, the New York Times, local shows. I was on a few national shows. And when reality TV were coming along, I think producers were looking for very unique stories, different kind of stories, but also people who were willing to be able to share on TV, to talk on TV, not be afraid of, see, I still think I'm filming, like you have to stop talking when there's noise. You know, to be able to talk on camera and not, because reality shows, you don't look directly at the camera. You're supposed to pretend that they're not there. Anyway, a producer came to us and introduced the thought of a reality show. I will be frankly honest, and I'm honest wherever I go, I did not want to do this show. I did not want to do this reality show, open up my world to the public. Because in my world, being different, being a little person, being a dwarf, I've already been exposed to the public on a different level. Growing up and being teased, being bullied, my family was great. The way my parents raised me was wonderful, but it changed the moment I stepped outside that door. The world reminded me of how different I was, and how I allowed it to make me feel I could never fit in, I could never be good enough. No matter how good I tried, I would never be able, I would always be here. I could never like get to the top for some reason. And so exposing my life, my kids' life, my family life, let alone a marriage, to the public scared me to death. I wanted my home to be a sanctuary, a place where we could go and unwind and be ourselves, and even in the messiness of it, and even in the fun of it, and the joy and the adventure. So bringing a reality show, to me, that was all going to change. Like, where would we go when we want to find a place that I could talk to my kids could talk to me, whatever. The other reason I didn't want to do it is because they first named the show America's Strangest Families. And I looked at Matt, my husband at the time, saying, what in the world are you thinking? Because to me, that was going to make it more that we are strange, we are different, we're kind of like cast aside, we're always the outsider because regular life is normal. But my life is normal for me. So how do we bring normal that people see as unnormal into the mainstream of things? So the title to me was America's Strangest Families. I'm like, no, it just keeps building the fact that we're different. And so we lived on a farm. We're a little people family. I think another family had a horse or a donkey living in their house. I'm like, what in the world? And then I'm not sure what the other family is. So my producer pitched it to us. I reluctantly agreed to do the first pilot because to me, the decision provided a huge opportunity. I had to get outside of what I felt personally and individually and look at the greater opportunity that I thought was much better than my own personal thoughts. Never has there really been a show weekly, every day, about a family that's different, about a family that's not part of the mainstream, about a family that is little people, dwarves. And I thought, maybe we could make it work. I still did not like that title, though. So we did the pilot. The producer pitched it. Am I going too long? I usually, okay.
I hear you.
Well, I'm a woman. I kind of just bramble and talk. Anyway, so the producer pitched it to a couple of networks. No one picked it up. In fact, a major network turned it down from my memory, and that's CBS. So, you know, maybe it was because the family was different, maybe because the title, America's Strangest Family, maybe because no one was quite ready having that type of program on television. But this producer was still determined to do something, and he really liked our story, he really liked our family, he really liked the dynamics of it. I mean, Matt and I are two different types of dwarves. So the percentage of whether our kids would be average height or a dwarf is 50-50. It'd be like me or average height. So out of 4 kids, I only have 1 dwarf child. So anyway, he loved that dynamics. Dwarf parents, 1 dwarf child, average size kids, you know, that whole big thing. And so anyway, we went ahead and did another pilot, and then he pitched it, and then that's when TLC picked it up, and I believe it was called Little People, Big Dreams. And maybe after the first or second season, it changed to Little People, Big World. I personally like Little People, Big World because the world is huge, but once we get to hear stories about other people, different cultures, oh my goodness. Anyway, hopefully you know what I mean. You know, even from different faiths, different race, and, you know, all of that, different physicalities of, you know, how I look. The one thing I really liked about it is because I'm considered disabled. You know, Matt is considered disabled. And for me, though, it's like, but I can walk like everyone else. I can run, I can jump out of a plane, I can do so many things that an average-sized person can do. So that was another reason to do the show, was to, like you all have been talking here, which I have learned so much. I myself got caught in a box, and other people who think they know about other people or don't want them a part of their world get caught inside their own box. And I think our program, kind of opened that door a little bit. It was narrow thinking of what they thought about little people. I'm not in a circus. I'm not here just to entertain and all that. It's like I'm living, breathing, and my difference at first may have seemed huge, but I think with our show, it became much more similar to everyone else. People could relate to it because we're dealing with a marriage relationship. We're dealing with kids and that dynamic, siblings, and the imperfect part of life, not my physicality, but just life, but also the joys and the adventures of it. So we went ahead and did the show, and I've been on for 14 seasons. In my world, from the very beginning of the idea to filming a pilot and another pilot and now a series, we've been doing this for 16 years. And I find it with the change in reality shows, and I'll give it, because I don't know how it is here, but in the United States, it's real. I mean, our show is real. I tell people, you may not think it's real, because when I filmed 3 hours, they took 1 minute. And I'm like, did you really have to take that minute out of all the other footage you could have chosen? It is real, and that's how I wanted it to be. But we were filming in the early years, we were filming about 3 years, 5 days a week, 10 months out of the year. So to me, it wasn't a job, it was just my life. And I did forget about the cameras here. I was telling other people, the first season, or maybe towards the end of this first season, we remodeled our house the first time in 2006. I picked out new lamps and everything. Well, that didn't work for TV. 2008, we did another major remodel. I picked out other lighting and everything. I have never seen that lighting ever since, because it didn't work. Now we have these, what they call China balls, that paper kind of big round balls, I laugh when people come to my house and say, oh yeah, you got cool lighting. I really like that lighting. And I'm like, that's filming lighting. That's not even mine. So it's like crazy. It's like, I would never have this in my house. But I think what TV also did for me, and TV's been great, but I also feel it has not been great. Just like anything else in life. I think, that there were some things that maybe I didn't deal with, like disciplining my kids, because who wants to show that on TV? Then I'd get a whole slew of criticism how I did that. So, delaying some things because we were filming may not have always been good. It's been hard to realize and see my marriage dissolve in front of the public eye. I mean, I value marriage tremendously. And so divorce was hard for me, but it was a part of life. It's real. And through the show, over time, I think I became a better understanding of myself. I think it encouraged and empowered me. It's like comedians who get up on stage. It's almost like therapy when they put themselves out there and they're vulnerable. Yes, you'll get criticism, but you'll also realize the impact that you've had on other people. When parents come up to me, tell me to stop at any time.
No,
okay.
We're delighted. Go ahead.
Well, because I could just go on.
Got you some water.
Oh, thank you.
We don't need the flowers, thank you.
So over the time that our show has been on, when average-sized parents who have realized that they're having a dwarf child because of genetic testing and everything, and unfortunately they go on the internet and find a slew of information that would even scare me if I was having a dwarf child. But seeing our show, they feel a little more relieved, less stressful, and hopeful, much more hopeful, because they've seen my son, Zachary, who was a child when we were filming, and then they see Matt and I as a dwarf. Now a bridge has been created for them where they see a whole lot more opportunities and possibilities for their child in life when they get older and things like that. So, you know, to me, that's a positive perspective on our show. When I get emails and social media comments and stuff from kids who are dwarfs, or even any disability, really, I've had the whole spectrum through our show, suddenly their world has opened up because their community of people around them, whether it be teachers, whether it be other parents, whether it be their friends, now get an kind of like an inside picture to their life, and it's not so uncomfortable, it's not so scary, it's not so unknown. In fact, yes, I would have loved to have gone to prom. Now maybe someone will feel more comfortable in, you know, asking a girl that's a little person out to prom or something of like that, or hanging out. Or
So we can go back to Miguel's presentation when he shows how over time media and TV,
Oh, yeah.
more specifically, has helped people to see differences in another way and relate to different people. So you agree with that? You feel that? In
No,
your show?
I totally, absolutely agree. And I think once people may have wanted to see our show because they wanted to see what the crazy little people, dwarfs, are going to do, but that went away very quickly. Now we became part of their world. They became invested, and I think that's why we lasted as long. It's like we're a family. I'm a woman. Matt's like a dad, and he likes doing all these building projects, and he's innovative, and I love being a mom and all that. So now we became relatable, and once you became relatable, it's also people felt like they could disagree with maybe how I raised my kids, but I find that to be okay, because it's okay to disagree, but still get something out of a program. Because if our show helped them be good in their life, maybe look at how they're raising their kids, or look that even though you're a mom, you can have a career. What about afterlife? You can finally find your passion and go after something. So yeah.
Somehow we can say you reach your initial goal, which was in part to make people more aware and be more relatable to people, right? To create this awareness and this I don't know how to call it, but it's empathy as
yeah, I think empathy.
which is our theme here.
I think understanding, and even if they don't completely understand, I think it opens up people's world about how they look at their life and other people in general. And I saw an opportunity, and I totally wanted to turn it down. But I think there was just something in me that said, well, maybe this opportunity would be much better than the initial reaction to say no to it. And it has, not only for me as an individual, and it always hasn't been easy, but I never regretted, I do not regret doing our show. I think it's done a tremendous amount of good for so many people. I mean, look at me, I'm in Brazil, for crying out loud. I mean, how wonderful is that? And I mean, all across the world. And I think to be able to have a network to do shows like that and open up people, make the uncomfortable a little more comfortable, make something that you had no idea about, now you have become a little more knowledgeable and maybe more accepting, and maybe a little more bringing your own walls down and learning how to become vulnerable, and maybe having a little more empathy. And when people first looked at me in my life, it's like, oh, poor me, but when I looked in the mirror, it's like, but I don't think that. So why do all these other people do? So doing the show, it's helped on so many levels, I think.
This is great. Anyone from the audience? Come on, guys, don't be shy.
I know. Yesterday, everyone was so shy
Yeah.
too. You know.
We now I'm taking from Edu's presentation and Patricia's. They show us how things change over time in terms of acceptance and this notion. There's no like a standard for beauty or how do you feel it changed over? You've been in television for such a long time. Do you feel those changes? Do you think it's something that is changing not only with you and but overall? I mean, in society.
I
How do you
think
see that?
I think there's been a tremendous amount of change in how we think about people and how we think about choices that other people have made or whatever it may be, where maybe before we were closed off to those things. I mean, for me, I'm faith-based, so, I have a foundation myself, but I think overall, life changes, seasons of life changes, and I think you don't have to lose your basic foundation that works for you personally, but to be more open and understanding and have empathy by hearing stories that you may have said, ooh, no way. Now it's like, okay, I can see it. This is a good thing. This is an understanding of different people that may disagree with me or I may disagree with them, but I agree more than maybe I disagree. And it's just like being uncomfortable. Now people are a lot more comfortable with approaching people that are different than uncomfortable. So I think there's a huge amount of change. And I think, when we engage in communication and conversations and we see programs that we might have said no to before, and now we have an opportunity to see it now, I think is very, very important because I think we become better people. I think we're enriched by them. And I think, we see our own lives in a much broader perspective instead of just, going down, this path that there's a whole world out there. You may think it's big, but it's little too, but big as well.
It is. Anyone? Okay, we have now we have 3 questions. Okay. Okay, go ahead and
We're going to hand the microphone
then we
to
have
you.
one in the back.
Socorro.
Não, pode fazer em
Oh, go ahead.
pode fazer em português.
I'm coming from a place where, with this question, where I'm a fat person and I can't bear to watch fat people programs because the way I see the story being told bothers me. Was there any time in the program that you saw this happening and had to intervene? Because as you mentioned, you filmed during 3 hours and then 1 second is captured and you say, maybe.
Oh, you have hit the nail right. Absolutely. I don't even watch my own show. And some of it is that very reason. Because when we look in the mirror, or when I should say, when I look in the mirror, I see me. I mean, I've seen me for many years. But when I look on the screen and I see me, it's like, that is not how I see myself. And, how I walk, or, I may be short, but I'm not petite either. I mean, everyone thinks I wear kids' clothes or go in the petite section. I'm like, no. It's regular stuff. So no, I did have a hard time seeing myself, and sometimes when I first became a member of the Little People of America organization, it's all over the world. In fact, my son just went to Argentina and did a whole World Dwarf Games in Argentina. But anyway, that's a side note. But no, I have a hard time seeing myself because sometimes it's hard to get rid of the past, the judging, the name-calling, the assumptions that other people made of me, talked about me, didn't include me. And then when I see myself on the show, it's like, man, do I have to go back there? Is this what's going to happen to me again at my age? Like, I'll give you an example. Just because we have a show, Little People, Big World, about dwarf, and I'm honored that so many other Little People shows have come after us. I mean, to me, I think that's a huge testament of what we decided to do in the very beginning. But I went to an event, a friend's event, 8 couples or 10 people, whatever it is. Well, this one woman never saw me, never met me, but she heard about me, never saw the show or anything. I walk in, she was so enthusiastic, but one thing that caught me off guard is that she picked me up like I was a kid or something and just said, "How cute you are," and pat me on the head. And I'm thinking, how long have I been doing this show? We didn't reach this person. But I had to stop myself from looking at her as offending me and doing that on purpose or something like that. I was grateful that no one else saw because the guy I'm seeing was there as well. And in my world, part of me still will go back to, will his opinion or thought or love of me change because my world is different than his? But it doesn't mean an average size world of his and my world cannot come together and be better. So anyway, no, I still have a hard time looking at myself, but I think the more you do, the more comfortable you get to be in your own skin. And like as I saw my fabulous life, I think that's what the show's called. When I see other little people, I was intimidated by them because I'm like, there's no way on earth I look like you people. But the more I went, the more I was embraced by little people come in all different shapes and sizes too. What inhibited me from putting up this wall and trying to be like someone else, I was looking at other little people like, they could care less. They're just being themselves. They're just being them. And so I enjoyed going to more and more Little People of America conferences and getting to know other little people and the things that they did. It's like, Amy, you got to bring it down a little bit. And I think you have a broader appreciation and likeness for your uniqueness. And because you're not like every other person, you're just you, regardless of other, larger people or whatever. You're you, so just be you.
Thank you.
Tinha uma lá atrás. Aqui, ó. Aqui.
Raise your hand.
Direito.
There she is. I usually stand on a chair. Here I am.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
So Jacob decided not to be part of the show anymore. So my question is if you or any other the family members have the same desire, and how did you deal with that, like accepting or not?
Good question. Didn't I tell you guys that story? Yeah, okay. One of the decisions about doing the show from the very beginning was not how it would just only affect me, but how would it change my kids' lives and affect their life. And again, I'll always go back that I probably could have done it better with the show. Like, my kids had friends over every weekend. If I didn't have the show in my world, there would not be friends over every weekend. Maybe we would have done more personal family time. Maybe they actually would have gotten their homework done and did better in school. I don't know. But my world was, I was afraid that if I allowed TV to overrule my everyday normal life, then they wouldn't have a normal life. And part of that is developing friendships. And like I said, I didn't think this show would go beyond a season or two, and here we are 14 seasons later. So I didn't want to give in so much to TV, because if I did that, the show goes away, and then we've got to start over as a family. I'm just trying to give you a little history before I answer that question. And so Jeremy and Zachary were about, 12 years old, maybe 13. So they had a life with the family before the show, with me as a mom, Matt as dad, and things like that. Molly, we started the show when she was about 9, so she kind of has a memory of it, but, it was easier for her to disconnect because she was the only girl, and it was about the twins and, all this other stuff. Jacob's world, we started when he was 6 years old. So all he knows is really a show in his family. He doesn't have an experience, really, of just the family without it. And I worked really hard to make it my number one job, as I mentioned, to be a mom and not to create episodes. Obviously, the two collide. That wasn't always easy to do. I was on a speaking engagement 2 years ago when he first went on Instagram and made this statement, comment, or whatever, about how the show, his family's not real. It's, he didn't say scripted, but he said some other word on it. And, they're not the same off camera and all this other stuff. So when I went to this speaking engagement, a local show wanted, of course, to interview me. Well, I shouldn't say of course, that doesn't always happen, but a TV show interviewed me. And I always go into that knowing it's not going to be what I'm speaking about. They could care less or whatever. They want to talk about the show and stuff. Well, her one and only question was about Jacob. Well, can you let us know your son's comment that the show is fake, it's not real, and all this other stuff? Well, I looked at this host thinking, what in the world are you doing? Do you really think I'm going to throw my kid underneath the bus and, answer what you think I should answer? So I went into mom mode, and I gave her the example. In Jacob's world, you know how we all take a selfie? Especially us women. Making sure our hair's right, making sure lipstick's on, making sure we got the right pose. Oh, that's not the right side. That's our stance. That whole big thing. Until we think we have a good image, a good picture. Then when we put the phone down, we go back to what? Are we any different? We're still ourselves. So I explained to her, Jacob's world was his family was a lot more of a selfie than when we weren't doing a selfie. And I think he came to the conclusion that this does not work for him anymore. Matt wasn't happy with it. He thought Jacob was not appreciative of all the opportunities and the advantage and all this other stuff. I think me as a mom, being more personal, I was more understanding, like we're talking about, helping ourselves be put in someone else's shoes. Not everyone's going to see my life, my world through my eyes, but how do I help them see it through their eyes so they have a little more empathy, a little more compassion, a little more respect, and a little more appreciation when they go out in the world and they see other people different. I wanted to see Jacob's world through his eyes. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to make you do TV. I don't want to force you to do TV. You have to want to do TV for whatever reason it is. I was okay saying, Jacob, that's great, because you came up with that decision. And I still respect, I still support him. Jeremy and Audrey decided not to do the show either. And it wasn't because they didn't like doing the show, but I think with where they're at, they're on their own mission. They're not any more faith-based than other people, but their faith is very important to them. What they do is about their Christian faith, about relationships and everything. That is not always looked upon kindly through reality shows. We're looking for the differences in people, but sometimes there's some differences that aren't as palatable anymore. Maybe it will come back. Maybe people will appreciate what they're doing, because what they're doing, I think, is fabulous, because it's, whether it's faith-based or not, they're doing, helping people stay in marriages. What do you do in dating from a faith-based perspective? So anyway, no, I'm okay with all of them, because they have to come to the conclusion of making their own decisions, living their own life now that they're adults. And it's funny, Little People, Big World is now, all the little people are still in it. So anyway, so yeah.
Tinha mais uma aqui na frente? Sim?
Any more?
Amy, tem um tempo ainda.
So you have 4 kids, and
Yes.
they do not look like each other. They
Yes.
have different difficulties. They have different lives. So how was to raise 4 kids with different conditions, with different life perspectives?
Good question. I think when I became pregnant, I think I probably focused more on the question I often get: why would I want to have kids knowing that one of them could be a dwarf like myself and have some of the medical complications that can come with my type, which is pretty much the most common, achondroplasia dwarfism. And I thought about that question heavily, thinking something that my dad told me way back in first grade that has truly been one of my foundational moments from a father to a daughter when I was in first grade, is that, God doesn't make mistakes. If I have a child that's a little person, there's a reason and a purpose, and he's just as loved and unique and worthy, purposeful, valued to be a part of this world, this life. Matt and I both agreed. We had parents, they raised us great. I'm sure, hopefully, Lord willing, we'll do a good job raising him. Now I have twin boys, average size, Jeremy. And I say average size and not normal, because when I say normal, then what am I? Well, I think I'm normal too. Anyway, so Jeremy, average size, Zach, an achondroplasia dwarf, I thought they're 2 different people. I raised up my kids, who is Zachary? I'll try and raise him for Zachary. I'll try and raise Jeremy like Jeremy, Molly like Molly, and Jacob like Jacob. But it's a better comparison with the 2 of them. Zachary struggled with a lot of the similar things that I did as a kid. He compared himself with a lot of other people. And he had a hard time with Jeremy sometime. Jeremy would walk in this room or any classroom or in a friend's group, not even say a word. And through Zachary's eyes, everyone looked at him like he was the greatest thing on the planet and want to talk to him and have him be a part of everything. He could walk on the soccer field and kick the ball and everyone would think he's the greatest. Not overly, because Jeremy was good. He was very personable, and not to take anything away from here. But through Zachary's eyes, it's like, no matter how hard I try, I can't get there. No one will see me like Jeremy. So my biggest conversation with Zach is, but it's not Jeremy's fault that he's average height, that things like this come in his world. Okay, your world is this. Let's help you get to know your world. Yes, Zachary, you may need to try something 15 times before someone actually has the confidence, or you have your own confidence, to say, okay, maybe we should give Zachary a chance. Okay, maybe we will invite him to hang out with us, whatever it may be. And because Zachary, you're unique and good too. One time, Zachary didn't want to go to a friend's hangout because he's like, Mom, they're doing something I can't do, and whatever it was. And I said, no, you're going to go. Well, I don't want to. I said, Zachary, it's not about what you don't want to. You don't have to engage in the activity that they're doing. I can't remember what it is, but anyway. It is more about the next day, they're all having conversations. Guess what? They'll still remember that you being there. Sometimes you have to make an effort to do something that you may not want to do in order to be rewarded, appreciative of what comes later. Zachary loves soccer. And it probably worked well for him to have his average-sized brother be on the team, during recreational soccer as a kid. And because I'm sure a lot of coaches were like, oh, brothers, you know, we got this little person guy, dwarf kid on the team. He can't run as fast. He can't pass the ball. Oh, great. I can hear it from the parents. Why is this kid on the soccer team? And all of that. So having his brother was great. To me, it was like looking at magic when the two of them played, because Jeremy trusted his brother. When Zachary would point or just look, Jeremy knew exactly what Zachary wanted him to do. He would go to that side of the field, Zachary would nail the ball to him. And so other kids, other parents, other coaches now got to see Zachary in action and play. Zachary would have loved to have been a major league soccer player. And I think it prevented him from doing something in soccer, because I tried to help Zachary. Just because you're not the soccer player doesn't mean you can't do anything within soccer. You could be player development, you could go into marketing, you could go into all these other different things, and you're still part of something that you love to do. So he would complain to me that I don't discipline Jeremy like I disciplined him. I said, Zachary, because all I have to do is walk through the front door and you get it. You're in trouble. So stop it and you're punished. That's it. Well, Jeremy, he's like his dad in a lot of ways. He would like try, well, that I didn't do that. Oh, no, that's not me. So I said, Zachary, I have to go through the back door, probably up the stairs, and find the room where Jeremy's at and discipline him in a way that works for Jeremy. So, you know, raising your kids is about not raising them to who I want them to be. I really tried my best to raise them who I think they needed to be for themselves, because they're going to walk out the front door and never really return, meaning live with me, unless, you know, we got kids who can't afford life anymore and they come back. But yeah, so that was my approach. And I kind of did it like my parents did. You know, raised me, and I tried to raise my kids, like I said, to be the best that they needed to be for them, because they need to live with their choices. They need to live how they think is best for them. You know, I may agree or disagree, but the one thing that still remains, I'm their mom. I'll always love them, I'll always support them, and I'll always encourage them. So.
Anyone? We have time for one more. Yes?
Fala tanto diferente, né, pessoas diferentes, para os seus netos mais tarde. O que é que você passaria para eles de lição de vida?
I think one of the lessons, or life lessons, I would say, that I'd love to continue to share with my kids, and I think they've become wonderful adults considering they've been in the limelight the majority of their growing up life. But one of the things that I have found important in my world that I would like to share with my grandkids or my other kids, especially with social media and everything, it's hard every day to get up and say, you know, I'm great, I'm beautiful, I'm going to do well today. And even when you screw up, you know what, tomorrow's another day, I'm going to give it another try. Without constantly, when so much is in your face, to compare yourself with other people. And it's what I call looking over the white picket fence. We often want to be like someone, have something that someone else has, or a relationship that someone else has, because it all looks wonderful compared to what we have. So I would like to, you know, teach my grandkids, or at least be an example. You may think it's green there on the other side, but if you don't water your side, why are you expecting it to be green? Learn to like yourself, because the minute you learn to like and believe and be comfortable in yourself, you aren't as worried about how other people are thinking, judging, accepting, or whatever. Yeah, I think you have better confidence in working through that process. And the other thing is, you can make it green wherever you go if you take a watering can with you. So be good. Be the best that you can be, because if you're consistent in that, people will eventually see that you're more real, not more real, that you are honest, that you did take the risk to become vulnerable and share, and they may be more willing to do it with you or to other people around you. Yeah. So,
Okay. Whoa.
thank you. See, my show may not really depict that about me. That's why I love Q&A and all of that.
That's why we had to bring you here.
Yeah.
To hear directly from you.
Yeah.
And to get really the opportunity to see what a wonderful person you are, and you're right. To see you personally is a totally different experience, and we are so thankful once more for you to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for joining us this morning. I'll pass it on to Adriana. Let's hear it again for the amazing Amy Roloff. Thank you.
Okay, wait a minute. What do you say? Obrigada? Oh yeah, obrigada. Obrigada. Thank you.